right, heroes, it is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, here with you, for you. I'm here about you, hero, on the Jewcurious Show, working on my prepositions. So, really glad for you to join me today. We are going to have another Fun Friday edition. We're going to hang out for, I don't know, an hour or two. And while we do that, you can ask whatever questions you have about Judaism. The Jewcurious Show is a place where people who are Jewish, people who are not Jewish, people who are thinking about it, you know, it's not such a bad thing, I guess. People who have no desire to be Jewish, but are very curious about Judaism, and this is a place where you can ask any question that you have, and I will answer it, except because it's Friday and we're having fun, I will probably answer it while playing video games. So that's how we roll here. We got a new game this week. It is finally got this game downloaded, installed, the whole bit. It is Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild. I've heard great things about this game. It is a family-friendly game. I'm stumbling on my words a little bit this morning. No alcohol involved whatsoever, I promise. But anyway, we're playing The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. It is a family-friendly game. That's how we do on the Jewcurious Show. No shoot-'em-ups, any gory monster face skulls things. Nah, not so much. Sometimes we play games involving just merely annoying geese. That's what we did last time. So enough rambling. We are going to get started on the Jewcurious Show in just a moment. Got to go grab a beverage or two, and I'll be right back after this brief musical interlude. If you are curious about Judaism, you are in the right place. Don't go away. Heroes, we are back, and let's take a look at the face, shall we? Sorry about that. So, it is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier. I'm here today with the Jewcurious Show. We do this every Friday. We have Fun Friday, where I answer questions you have about Judaism while I play a few video games. Keeps it fun for you, fun for me. I remember a few years ago I had some younger students, like ages, grades 5 and 6, and they said, "Whoa, you have a YouTube channel?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's how I teach Torah." And so I asked them, these kids are YouTube aficionados. Good to see Nawa64 D. Walexa in here, and KG Wilcox in the house. Everybody's saying shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Nice. So we have some people already here. So I'm hanging out with these kids, and they find out that I do a YouTube channel. And so I asked them, I know they're YouTube aficionados. I said, what kind of videos should I make? And they said video game walkthroughs, because that's the kind of videos that, if you're in the 5th or the 6th grade, that's what these kids were really into. They were into Fortnite and watching other people play Fortnite. Apparently, Fortnite isn't the trend that it used to be. That's what they call it, a trend or a fad, I guess. But I hang out with the young people sometimes. Somebody's got to help them with their bar mitzvah speech. So, in any case, they said, you should make video game videos. And I thought, that sounds like a terrible idea. I'm bad at video games. And, I like playing video games, but I'm not what you would call an esports professional. But they said, no, you should do it. And I said, what if I had a channel that was just Rabbi is bad at video games? So here we are. This is what we do every Friday. We play the game. Let's see how bad the Rabbi is at video games. But just to make it useful for you, I will answer whatever questions you have about Judaism in the process of being bad at video games. So this week I'm going to be bad at The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. So really glad to see you here. KG Wilcox says, got any tips for Candy Crush? I do not. I don't play Candy Crush. It's an admirable game. I know many people who play it occasionally or addictively, but it's never something I got into. I have one game on my phone, and I'll tell you about it. Let me turn off some of this annoying techno music first. Where's the turn off annoying techno music button? There it is. Boop. And there we are. So I have one game on my phone, and it is called Spaceward Ho. Look it up. That's a Ho, H-O with a exclamation mark. It's not what you think. So it's like, hey, we're going spaceward ho, and this is a game I got hooked on in high school, which I think is over 25 years ago at this point, at least. And this was a game that I played on on my Mac Classic in black and white in my dorm room instead of doing my homework. So yes, I had a dorm in high school. I was one of those kids. But we would play Spaceward Ho. It's like what's the like StarCraft? It's very similar to StarCraft, only way more low tech. If you can imagine StarCraft being played on Macintosh in black and white 30 years ago, that's Spaceward Ho. And since then, some very generous people have ported this game to the iPhone. It's now in color. And I can play it on my iPhone, and it takes about 2 to 6 hours to complete a game. It's a turn-based strategy game of conquering the galaxy. That is the one and only game I play on my phone right now. I'm not really into any like Facebook games or Candy Crushes, Words with Friends. I found out I'm far too competitive, and it eventually just becomes words. Get it? Because we're not friends anymore. But anyway, so I like to play games more by myself than competitively. I found out about myself. I'm a pretty competitive dude, which means I hate losing, which just happens most of the time. And so I kind of keep my video games solo. The exception being Mario Kart, but then it brings out my vicious competitive streak, which is not as useful to parenting a 7-year-old as you might think. So, we play Mario Kart sometimes at home. On this channel, necessarily, I don't have the bandwidth for multiplayer games yet. But one of these days, wouldn't that be nice for the Jewcurious folks to play video games together? So when I figure out how to do that, we'll do that. I've only recently figured out how to turn on multi-platform chat. So let's go see what our friends are talking about on Facebook and YouTube. That's where we're streaming right now. So we got a lot of folks here on Twitch. That's my favorite platform. Yaakov Eliyahu Goldberg. Thoughts on studying the Talmud, e.g. Daf Yomi? My rabbi says too hard on your own. So that's our first comment from Facebook this morning. Great question. Let's see, just real quick. Nawa64 says, my first computer game was Adventure, when it was just lines of words, no pics, no video. Oh, dating myself badly. Not so badly. I was really into Eamon Adventures, which was another Apple IIe game. We would get the discs. We'd get those 5.5-inch floppies or whatever and put that in, and every once in a while it would be like, please insert disc 2 to go on, because the whole game was written in BASIC. It was written in the BASIC computer language, and it was a text-based role-playing game. So no, if you're old, I'm old, and that's just not possible. So let's go back to Daf Yomi real quick. So I'm doing Daf Yomi sporadically. Daf Yomi, if you're not familiar, is it means daily page or a page a day, where somebody figured out a few decades ago that if you study one folio page, that is front and back of a piece of paper, of the Talmud every day, just one page a day, front and back, you could study the entire Talmud in only 7.5 years. And much like the Parshat HaShavua or fixed lectionary, where everybody's reading the same parsha every week, Daf Yomi is it's not just you just go do this on your own schedule. You can, but I think what's slightly more fun is to study a page. Everybody's studying the same page, right? There's a calendar that you can look it up online. Everybody in the world is studying the same page on a given day. And what's useful about that, just like Parshat HaShavua, is that you'll find people will be tracking their progress online these days. I mean, this was invented. I forget which cycle we're in, but it's like the 12th cycle. It's been going on for, I don't know, super long time, and since the early 20th century, I believe. And they didn't have Twitter back then, so now people are like tweeting their thoughts about the Daf Yomi. They're putting it on Facebook. There are Facebook groups. I just saw this great Jewish writer, Esther Kostanowitz, put something together, I think in the LA Jewish Journal perhaps, or I forget, it's somewhere online. Look for Esther Kostanowitz, spelled exactly like it sounds, with a K, and she's talking about Daf Yomi study, and she was asking, in the Facebook sphere, look for sources, people to interview about people who've had, good experiences in Daf Yomi's Facebook groups and bad experiences in Daf Yomi Facebook groups and things like that. So anyway, there's a lot of resources out there. There are podcasts you can follow. Great source of tips. Look for Rabbi Avi Killip, K-I-L-L-I-P. I think it's 2 L's, first name A-V-I. She is a wonderful rabbi who just finished the Daf Yomi cycle when it ended in early January, and wrote a great article for My Jewish Learning on like 7 tips for studying Daf Yomi. And I think the tips are fantastic. I especially love the catch-up day tips because I legit can't get to it every single day, but every couple, sometimes I'm good for a few days, and then I come back around and catch up on a few days that I've missed. And so, yeah, that's about how I'm doing it. It's not for everybody, right? It's really not for everybody. As Yaakov is saying, my rabbi says it's too hard on your own. I really do encourage you, depending on where your learning is at, I do encourage you to work with a buddy, right? This is when people first encounter me on YouTube, I usually have a link to a guide that I prepared called 3 Things Jewcurious People Need to Accelerate Your Learning. And it refers to this particular passage of Pirkei Avot that says, when you're the best way to approach life in general, but especially Torah study, Talmud study, is you need 3 things. You need a teacher, you need a friend, you need a buddy, like a study buddy, like a peer, somebody who's about at your level, in addition to a teacher, somebody who's ahead of you who can bring you along, and you need an open mind, right? And integral to that is the friend, and also integral to that is the teacher, and also integral to that is the open mind. I restated the whole thing. But it is tough on your own. I think you do need some kind of. There are better and better resources out there if you want to take this on by yourself, but I would do it in the sense of parallel play. If you, for whatever reason, can't schedule time with a teacher, or you can't schedule time with another person who's a peer, it's nice to learn in peer groups. That's an ancient Jewish practice going back to the time well before the Talmud itself, is that people didn't study Torah alone. People studied Torah in pairs or in groups so that you could hear multiple interpretations, you could have sort of a check on your own assumptions that you're making, and it's just a great way to unpack a text in a multidimensional way. So you can do it on your own, but if you're going to do it on your own, I would make sure that you have some way of checking in with other people. Because you might be reading something and you're like, I have no idea what this is saying, and it gets so frustrating that you just quit, right? And if you just quit, then you're going to miss out on all the other great stuff you might have seen if you had not quit. And so studying it with a support group is good, because they'll encourage or a teacher, they'll say, oh, that thing that you had a hard time understanding, don't beat yourself up. The Talmud is ridiculously complicated sometimes, excessively so. It's not like, oh, you're not smart enough to get this. It's like, it's not written well in some places. There are these deep rabbit holes of arguments and tangents, and sometimes that can get overwhelming. It's good to have a peer to study with, and especially a teacher to guide you through, to help you out of those rabbit holes so that you can progress. And so, if it's difficult for you to get with a teacher in real time, or difficult for you to get with a peer in real time, look for something like a good set with commentary. Yaakov, we just met. I don't know where your Hebrew and Aramaic skills are. If you need an English translation, I hear the Koren Steinsaltz translation that came out in the beginning of the last Daf Yomi cycle about 8 years ago is a very good translation. I think I'm about to order it myself, just to have it on my shelf that I can photocopy it and share with my students. So that I hear is a very good translation with lots of great, the good translation into English, good commentary in English. Art Scroll has something like this as well, but even the Art Scroll English edition is kind of tough to get through if you're not familiar with how Talmud works. So yes, I'll say you can do it on your own. I wouldn't recommend it. And if you have to do it on your own, I would still find a way to check in with a group periodically. Facebook group, Twitter group, local synagogue, maybe a weekly. Somebody in my synagogue reached out to say, "Hey, Daf Yomi," and like just because of the new Daf Yomi cycle, and because the internet exists, Talmud study is never more in the news than it is every 7.5 years when there's a new Daf Yomi cycle. So I've had multiple people in my congregation say, "Hey, Daf Yomi, are you doing it? Should I do it? Da 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 da." And can we have a class or something like that? I'm like, okay, we'll have a Daf Yomi class when you can show up at here with me at 6 a.m. every morning, because that's how most Daf Yomi Shiurim work in, let's say, Orthodox synagogues. And my synagogue is not Orthodox. But, if you want to study every day together, that's going to take a lot of discipline that I don't know that, I know you have it, but I don't know if we'll have critical mass for it. That's how I put it. However, it's inspired people to want to have Talmud classes where maybe, once a week I give like the highlights of what I've learned in Daf Yomi, or we now that we're interested in Talmud, maybe I'll give not Daf Yomi or not according to that schedule, but my top 10 pieces of Talmud that I like to share with people. I've got a few of them that I teach over and over again, and I could probably come up with a good top 10 list. So I would say, yeah, you can study it alone. I don't recommend it. At the very least, you should subscribe to a podcast that kind of explains what's going on. And that's not because I don't think you can get it. I think it's you need to have something to help you out of those rabbit holes, because everybody falls into them. You need to find, everybody's going to come to a place where they're like, I have no idea what's going on here. I feel like a dum-dum, and I want to quit. Having a support group is great. Having a podcast to kind of coach you through those things. And if you're looking for a good podcast, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. But go look for Rabbi Avi Killip's article on My Jewish Learning. It's something like top 7 tips for doing Daf Yomi. That lists at least 3 podcasts that she recommends. So that's that, and really appreciate the question. It's on a lot of people's minds these days. We're talking about old computer games today. We've got Adventure, Pong. My first was Pong, using a black and white TV as the monitor. Been there. Floppy disks, yeah, but now 64 is all about the floppy disks. Let's see. Pong video controller, now on a display in my basement game room. Nice. Natalie Angel says, "Can we ask anything?" This is an Ask Me Anything session, so ask me anything. Be nice. Don't be like, "How dumb are you?" Well, I could go on and on, but just you could ask anything. Just be polite. So KG Wilcox says 14th cycle. So it's been going on for whatever. We're now in the 14th, so there's been 13 cycles. So 13 times 7.5 years is how long it's been happening. Natalie Angel asks, for those of us who have already converted, how do we handle being asked about our conversion? I don't always want to share. I'm a convert, and my shul is obsessed with asking. That's so. Let me think about that for somebody. I'll go with Carla J's answer here. Carla J has been a longtime member of this community. I tell people it's a long story. How about you buy me a coffee and I will tell you about it, and I'll walk away. And most people don't follow up. So it's like, yeah, it's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody said to me recently. Yeah, it's like if people are asking you that if you're saying being asked about our conversion. I'm not sure if you mean what kind of conversion did you have? Was it Reform or Conservative or Orthodox? Or the separate question is, why did you do it? This is why would you join this? This is hard. And sometimes there's anti-Semitism. So there are multiple questions. However it is, I think Carla's got the best answer. Just say, it's a long story. Let's get together and talk about it sometime. Rather than somebody putting you on the spot to give a speech during Kiddush, right? That you might have to give like the the that speech 3 times in one day. So really glad Natalie and Carla could connect on that. That's my favorite thing. I'm going to say, guys, that's my favorite thing about doing this show is that I get to connect people who are connected to this show with each other. So anytime somebody asks a question on here, anybody and everybody is welcome to hop in. Sometimes I miss questions. I suggest that people, when you're typing in a question, use a question mark. It makes it way easier, or multiple question marks. Or if if it's in Spanish, an upside down question mark. And that's the only thing I'll understand about that because I don't speak Spanish, except I know they have upside down question marks. But if I see a question mark, it's easier for me to see. If I don't get to your question, maybe repost it. Or a lot of times people in the chat, if the chat gets moving fast, people will say, hey, Rabbi, there's a question up there about such and such. So let's see. We got, hey, Gilly Butter. Gilly Butter, I don't know if I've seen you here before. Welcome. Hi from Seattle. Just stumbled across you this morning as I was Googling my son's Parsha for his bar mitzvah in May. Kedoshim. That's a good one. I'm going to say I'm a fan of Kedoshim myself. So welcome, Gilly Butter. Really glad to have you here. It's we got a little bit of time till May. I believe in you. I believe in your son, and you're going to be fine. Let's see. KG Wilcox. Oh my, very curious and concerning. Did this actually happen? Oh my goodness. KG Wilcox says, if you found a kneeler in church that had the Tetragrammaton embroidered on it, what would you do? So I am as curious as Nawa64 as to whether this is a rhetorical question. Yeah, that's tough. I don't think I would kneel on it. I don't think I would kneel on it. I'd be curious about the history of it, like how long it had been there. I know, ritual artifacts can be literally sacred things in shuls. I would be upset, and I probably wouldn't go back there, and I'd probably talk to somebody and say, like, you're kneeling on the name of God, right? Would you? But I guess we would raise the question, would they have a kneeler with crosses on it? If they had some symbol of their God, would they want to kneel on it? And I can kind of think about the logic of, this is God is where I bring my troubles to, or God is who I'm supplicating myself before, and so isn't that a fun pattern? Yeah, I think that's actually terribly troubling. But that's my own kind of ick factor. I'm going to try to assume that that's not patently or explicitly anti-Semitic. The idea that our God cross thing is up here, the Jewish God is for kneeling on. I don't know. It's like I wrote to the vicar but haven't heard back. They kneel on crosses but not on crucifixes or the face of Christ. What I don't want to do is what I wouldn't want to do is say that an embroidered image of the name is like an idol. Sometimes if you treat things with too much sanctity, there's a fine line crossing over into idolatry. But yeah, we don't do that, and I would prefer other people didn't do it either. So I would just reach out to them and express that, when we have pieces of paper, for example, with that same collection of letters on it, if the piece of paper gets torn, we don't throw that away like that. We actually have to handle it in a very certain way. So in a way, putting the name of God on something that is going to be beaten down and worn down like a kneeler over time doesn't feel right. But then again, they don't follow our rules. So I also want to give some respectful distance there. I would just say, I think I think I expressed dismay, but was very British about it. I think that's probably a good tactic. So it's a tough thing. I'm not going to call the cops on them, and I'm not going to call the ADL on them. I would first want to have a private conversation and say, or just get curious and say, what is the motivation behind this? Is this something that's like in a lot of churches? Is this in the new church upholstery catalog that is a top seller? Did you pick it because it looks pretty? What's the motivation behind this? and dig into that and say, okay, I know what you meant, but this is how it makes me feel when I see it here. And just don't come accusationally, just come from my statements like, I feel like this is really, I feel really uncomfortable with this. I feel like this is really disrespectful, and have a good conversation with it. Hey, Ruthie's in the house. I hope that's helpful. This is that's a new one on me. I don't spend a lot of time in churches, but I do go to churches occasionally. Supporting other people or family. A lot of my family's not Jewish, so going to family simchas and funerals. Sometimes find myself in a church. Have not yet seen the Tetragrammaton anywhere, much less on something you would kneel on. So, and I don't, and we don't really kneel either, so it's not something we would come across. So Ruthie Honey's in the house. Good to see you, Ruthie. I don't know if you're back from your trip. I've been following your trip to the East Coast and vegan eating. So that's been cool. Thank you for sharing about it. Always looking for things that are delicious that don't have meat in them. Because even though I mostly eat meat, when I go out to eat, I do eat vegetarian stuff because I don't eat meat in unsupervised or unsupervised by rabbinic authority restaurants. So if I'll eat meat, I'll eat vegetarian at lots of places. But if I'm eating meat out, I only eat in restaurants that are certified kosher, have been examined and all that stuff. So that's just me. That's how I practice kashrut. So I'm always looking for good vegetarian stuff when I'm on the road. So thank you for that, for sharing all those pictures. Just got back last night. Really glad you got home safe. Looked like a good trip. Speaker AJ's in the house. Shabbat Shalom, Speaker AJ. Ruthie says, I went to a synagogue in New Jersey for Shabbat last week. It was awesome. I would ask you where you went, but there's probably a lot of synagogues in New Jersey. I will say, and let's see, I wonder how many rabbis I know in New Jersey. I'm not sure. I know at least one very dear friend of mine, Rabbi Howard Tillman, who just had a baby, his wife Naomi just had a baby, and he was also present. But I just spent Shabbat with him in the synagogue in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. So be curious to see if you met any rabbis I know. So really glad to have everybody here today. I think we're going to go ahead. I've been really excited about this new game, y'all. Let me take a look over here in the editing suite. I've been really excited about this new game. So excited my drink turned blue. Yum, yum, yum-a-dum-dum. This is, I don't remember the brand, so it's not a commercial, but this is branch chain amino acids. So this is 7 grams apparently of branch chain amino acids. It's good for quelling hypoglycemic nausea when you are fasting. And I've been doing this whole intermittent fasting thing. But lots about, I don't know if people care, but I need something to talk about. I've lost about 25 pounds this over the last, let's say, 6 or 8 months. And so I've been trying a lot of silly things, silly things that I've tried in the past that now I'm having more discipline about. One thing that I'm doing right now is this intermittent fasting business. And I'll say I get a little annoyed or annoying in the morning, not eating. But if you're trying something, so this is my tip. If anybody's ever trying fasting, not for Yom Kippur, that's like a different thing. But if you're trying intermittent fasting, or if you're trying to, what do they say, fasting cardio? If you want to do a workout in the morning before you eat, my problem was always getting nauseated. I would wake up, go straight to the gym, and this lack of blood sugar would give me kind of a nauseated feeling. And so I find branch chain amino acids do the trick, and you could get it in powder form. You could probably buy the drinks for $5 at the gym. I just get a tub of it, and it's this one is blueberry ice or something terrible like that. It tastes like the movies. I went to the movies the other night. 1917, great movie, by the way, if you're into that sort of thing. Kind of hard to watch in some places, but because it's a war movie and it's very, very graphic, but very well done movie. And when I smell this morning, it's a little bit like buttered popcorn and blue icy is what it smells like. So that makes me think of the movies. KG Wilcox says, yes, Mazel Tov and good health. 64 Mazel Tov and good health. Mazel Tov. KG Love IF also losing weight. So yeah, it's just something I'm doing. I got some big goals this year. I shared some of those goals with you. I'm going to look at my goal chart over there. I do want to get into. I do want to do some skydiving this year. Something I've always wanted to do, I've never done before, is skydiving. But those pesky pilots don't want heavy dudes on their planes because jet fuel is expensive, apparently. So you got to get below a certain threshold of weight. You got to be at the place that's close by here. You got to be 240 and 240 fully dressed. And I'll just say I've got about 25 to 30 pounds to go before I'm 240 fully dressed. I'm a big dude, got a big bones, also big fat belly. So not just the big bones. So that's what I'm aiming for. I'm down about 25. Got about 25 to 30 to go, so that I could jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Another big goal over there is I'd like to run an ultra marathon sometime this year. And that is anything that's over 26.2. I've done a few marathons. So technically, if I did like a marathon and then ran back to my car afterwards, that might qualify as an ultra marathon. Somebody last night told me about, I think she called it the CC24. It's not a set distance. It's how far can you run in 24 hours. So they just give you, I guess they give you a start and a stop, and it's how many miles can you do in a 24-hour period. I guess you could take naps. That sounds nice. So let's see. Kay Dixie says, Rabbi, congrats on the weight loss, but if you get too skinny, it can be difficult to see you on the Bema. No chance of that. No chance of that. Apparently, when your shoulders don't get narrower or when you lose weight, it just, you get like that, I guess, that triangle, I've heard. So I think it'll be okay, but thank you for looking out for me. Yeah, intermittent fasting, it's kind of a thing. One benefit I've heard of it, and I'm not there yet, is when you lose a lot of weight really quick, sometimes you get extra skin. You get like that sort of flab, and I've heard that intermittent fasting is good for that. It's not perfect, but I've seen people or know people who've had gastric bypass or really rapid weight loss, and then they got a bunch of extra, skin and stuff left over, and then they feel like they need to get plastic surgery to get rid of it. That's if that works for them. But I've also heard that intermittent fasting, the extra skin problem isn't such a big deal. So anyway, this is, again, I am not a doctor. I'm barely a rabbi. So like I do, I give you advice about Torah. I can give you advice about negotiating, the social wilderness of Jewish communities. I cannot give you health advice. I am not giving you health advice. I'm just talking about my journey. So nobody go out there and get into intermittent fasting and said, oh, Rabbi said so, and now I'm having heart problems because I'm following his advice. So any exercise, any diet you do so only under the supervision of a physician, of which I am not one. So just want to make that little safety thing there. Yes. So everybody, we're going to get into speaking of fitness activities. As my other drink of the morning, Black Folgers. So speaking of fitness activities, I am so excited about this game. I downloaded. I've been wanting to download it. It hasn't been available for download. I would have had to go to GameStop. I love GameStop. I do not love the parking lot around GameStop. We talked about shopping centers last week. So finally, this game, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, very highly rated, family-friendly game, very immersive environment, and we'll see in just a minute. I haven't played this yet, so I've just heard. Finally became available for download. I downloaded it last week I started downloading it right before our show. But then the little thingy said it's going to take an hour and a half to download this. And I was like, I only have an hour and a half for my show, so we'll just play Goose Game and maybe do Zelda next week. So we played Goose Game. Now we're doing Zelda. And all week, my daughter has been playing Zelda. And she's like, this game is awesome, Dad. How do you like it? I'm like, I haven't played it yet. And she's like, what? You have this game? You haven't played it yet? She doesn't sound like that. That's me exaggerating. But so she's been playing Zelda. It's, kid tested, kid approved, and now we're going to play it for you. Enough talk. Let's get into Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Certainly feel free to keep asking questions about Judaism. That's part of Fun Friday is while I play this game, apparently there's an elf standing on some intestines. This is off to a good start. While I play this game, I'll answer whatever questions you have. Just make sure you put a question mark on there. It's easier to see it that way. If I miss your question, feel free to pop it back in there. Or good supportive friends here will say, "Hey, Rabbi, somebody's asked a question. You didn't say it." So feel free to answer each other's questions. That's helpful too because you might have insights that I don't have. Carla a minute ago gave some great help to a new friend here, and so I'm going to go back so I can see the game over here. And I'm going to go see the multi-chat over here. And let's get into it. Let's get ready to Zelda. Okay, put my ear goggles on. Boop, boop. Ear goggles should go over the kippa. And let me check the sound levels here before we get started. A 1, 2. Can everybody hear me okay? Let's see. Come on, sound levels. That's my voice. Where's the game? All right, we're gonna move. There's the camera. Okay, so while I was talking, the only thing that happened is there's no splash screen to start the game with. At least not now. They just turned the game on, and there was a picture of Zelda. And he was in that bed. I guess it's a bed. And he gets up. And now he's standing on a carpet of long intestines. So let's check that out. Let's see. Now 64 says, when we got the original Legend of Zelda, the kids kept telling their papa that he should play it, but then they would help him by grabbing the controller from him. To this day, he still hasn't played it. Maybe in retirement. Okay, I can dig it. Let's see. Okay, so there's me looking around. Let's see what the controllers are. Whoop! Save, load, dot, dot, dot. Okay, jump, action, put away. Nothing for the Y button? Huh. Move, press to crouch. Okay, focus. Focus. Let's see. Basic controls. Inventory. Naked Zelda. Some excellent compression shorts there. Boxer briefs. Matches eyes. Nice. Okay. We're going to go back. And this is me moving the camera. This is my bedroom. Looks like somebody's been smoking in here. Or somebody left the window open. The fog got in. I'm going to walk on these intestines. That's got to hurt somebody. What's this? Examine. Don't mind if I do. Ooh. Okay, I've got an iPhone.
It's a Sheikah slate.
Oh, it's a Sheikah slate.
Take it.
I don't mind if I do.
It will help guide you after your long slumber.
Apparently I've been asleep for a while. Okay. And I'm trying to. What do I do now? Okay. I want to take the Sheikah slate. Whoop. It looks suspiciously like a Nintendo Switch. Sheikah slate, a mysterious tablet with a glowing center. You've never seen this device before, and yet there's something familiar about it. I don't know what that little arrow is. I'm hitting all my little arrow things. Inventory. A mysterious tablet with a glowing center. You've never seen this device before. Something familiar about it. Okay. What do I do with it? A. Select. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Ooh. Apparently when I pick up my iPhone, it opens the door to my bedroom. Isn't that convenient? So I'm just going to explore this room a little bit more. Got a... Do I now have a belt on my underwear? Yes, I have a belt on my boxer briefs. Doop-a-doo. I'm in great shape for having been sleeping a long time. Doop-a-doop. Bucket. Roar! Throw. Good throw, Zelda. What's his name? I think, is this guy's name Link? Open. Don't mind if I do. Oh! Well-worn trousers. We'll see how well they're worn. I'm going to wear them right now. Maybe poorly worn trousers. These old trousers are threadbare in spots, but they're surprisingly comfortable. The legs are a bit too short, though. What is he, from Los Angeles? Inventory. Now I have pants on. Equip. That's better. Slightly less embarrassed. Okay, 1 and 1. Okay, now I'm wearing pants. I wonder if this is the shirt chest. I think Link has the old shirt. A thin shirt made long ago. It's coming apart at the seams, but it's better than nothing. The sleeves are a bit on the short side. I've got shirts like that. I think we all do. Okay, inventory. 1 to 2. A thin shirt made long ago. Okay. Boop. Equip the shirt. That's better. Check out the multi-chat, see what's going on. People are talking about Legend of Zelda. Oh, DLX. It wasn't the original Zelda game. It was Ocarina of Time for N64. That was after my time. I don't think I ever had the N64. I think I briefly I played Zelda. I don't know if I ever owned Zelda. I think I borrowed Zelda from a friend, but I had my original Nintendo Entertainment System. I was very excited to have Super Mario Brothers instead of just regular Mario Brothers. Okay, so I've got clothes, got a barrel. Oh, that's how you throw a barrel. Oh, and I make sound apparently. And is that a temperature thing? Whoop. Forget the accessibility ramp. Looks like there's some mold on the intestine carpet. Boop. Oh, here. Examine.
Hold the Sheikah slate up to the pedestal. That will show you the way.
Okay. He's got an ear pierced. Authenticating. Is this the future? The past? Is it Techno Middle Earth? Is he supposed to find a rabbi? Wouldn't that be something? It's the door of gloopy tears. Okay. Are those fluorescent ceiling tiles?
Link.
Oh, look who's dying.
You are the light. Our light.
Pretty sure you're the light.
Shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
Alright, apparently I gotta go be the light that shines on Hyrule now. What's on the stairs? That's snow. Oh, it crunches like snow. This is a really detailed game. Let's see, where am I going? Just gonna bloop, 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 bloop. Boosh. Doing a little dino there. Well, this place looks pretty nice, except for that exploding volcano. I think we're about to have a nuclear winter. This is Hyrule. Okay, here's the splash screen. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. And apparently Sauron's over there. Sorry, I've been listening to the audiobook of Fellowship of the Ring, so got hobbits on the mind. Hey, there's a church. Or maybe that's the shul, the Hyrule shul. And there's the Hyrule Rabbi. Let's go. The Great Plateau. Don't mind if I do. Let's go find the Hyrule Rabbi. Unless he's going to hit me with that stick. I'm a little bit suspicious. Doesn't he know it's wildfire season? Apparently he's got a great white... Oh, it looks like Santa. It is the rabbi. Hey, what's up? Huh? Baked apple? I wonder if he's cool with me taking his baked apple. I beg your pardon, I do believe that is my baked apple. You can't just go about taking whatever you please. Does sound like Rabbi. Oh, ho, ho, forgive me, I could not resist pulling your leg. Please help yourself. An apple in an open flame make for a succulent treat. That's one thing I learned from my daughters. This game involves a lot of cooking, apparently. So it's a little bit like Overcooked 2 meets Mario Odyssey and Lord of the Rings. Okay, it's a bit strange to see another soul in these parts. Who are you? I'll spare you my life story. Mind your own business. I'm just an old fool who's lived there alone for quite some time now. What brings a bright-eyed young man like you to a place like this? That is fair enough. As I cannot imagine our meeting to be a simple coincidence, I shall tell you. Dun, dun, dun. This is the Great Plateau, according to legend, is the birthplace of the entire kingdom of Hyrule. All right. So just we're going to pause in this old man's boring story for a little station identification. This is the Jewcurious Show. Here I am delighted to answer whatever questions you have about Judaism, Jewish tradition, Jewish people, what have you, all while playing video games. So we're having a little fun here on Fun Friday, and so you can watch me play Zelda, you can ask questions about Jewish stuff. We're multicasting on, let's see, YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, wherever you are. Type it into the comments of the chat, however your interface is. Ask whatever questions you want. I will answer them, and you'll also meet some nice people here who are hanging out with us today. So thank you for tuning into the Jewcurious Show. And with that, we're going to go back into playing a little bit of Zelda this morning. So, this is back to the old man. This is the Great Plateau. According to legend, this is the birthplace of the entire kingdom of Hyrule. And now I'm going to hit you with my lampstick. So, Hyrule looks like it's kind of run down a little bit. That temple there, long ago, was the site of many sacred ceremonies. Blue drink. Ever since the decline of the kingdom 100 years ago, it has sat abandoned in a state of decay. How long have I been asleep? Yet another forgotten entity, a mere ghost of its former self. Much like me and my lamp. Okay, I guess that's all I need to know. Can I stand in fire? Can I stand in fire? I'm on fire! Stop, drop, and roll there. Do I have health point? Oh, it looks like I lost a heart. So, word to the wise, don't stand in fire. Oh, ha ha ha. I'm going to do some chores now. A woodcutter's axe is a tool of choice for felling trees. It is a formidable weight and uneven balancing make it a slow, inefficient weapon. Well, fine. Use weapon. Attack with your equipped weapon. Okay. Interesting. Alright. Hyrule falls to deforestation. I wonder what happens if I just walk onto that water over there. Let's see, is this like Minecraft where I have to go over there and cut down those trees to make better stuff? Whoa! Got hit with a stick. Can't even see that guy. Okay, nope. Ah, and I'm on fire. Okay. All right, click the little purple heart to follow. Hey, great tip, K Dixie. So if you're following us on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Jewcurious, this is my favorite platform for streaming. If you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, no judgments. If you're on Twitch, click the little purple heart to follow. You can also subscribe to this channel, which means if you're watching this on Twitch, sometimes there are commercials, and if you subscribe, No commercials. So that's a good thing to do. I'm going to take a little coffee break here. I got to top off the move juice. And we'll be back with more Zelda in about 34 seconds. All right, don't go anywhere. I will... Where's my BRB? I will... BRB. Alrighty, back to Zelda. Game over. Game is just beginning. Continue. Check the screen for hints that will surely aid you on your journey, like don't pick fights with guys with long fire sticks. That seems like a good tip. They playing with each other. Oh, they've already noticed me. Okay, I'm not very good at this. I'm gonna be pretty good at dying. Let's see if I can knock you guys off the cliff here. Okay, just you, fella. Just you. I'm gonna take your stick. This torch will stay lit once lighted, but you put it away, the flame will be extinguished. Okay. Add that to my inventory. Okay, here we go. Okay, Dixie says, following will allow you to receive notification when the program goes live. That's a good thing to do. Okay, change weapon. Interesting. Press and hold. Let's see. Press and hold. Switch. See, I've got a... Oh, that's a torch. Pot lid. The lid of a large soup pot smells vaguely of poultry broth. So I guess that's a shield now. I've got a shield. Okay. Does that mean there's soup around here somewhere? Okay, so got that. Got a pot lid. Okay. Raise your shield. Oh, that's a neat trick. So I hit the... Thrust! Parry! Thrust! Parry! Boko spear. Spear haphazardly carved from a large tree branch. Okay, well, I'll just take it. See what else we got here. Was this a shawarma? A bokoblin horn. The severed horn of a bokoblin, a creature often encountered in the plains of Hyrule. It is an edible. I was wondering, actually. But it can be tossed into a stew with some critters to make an elixir. So let's have some critter and horn stew. I saw some cooking over here. Take some mushrooms. Eat it to restore half a heart. There's a little half-hearted healing there. Take more. Do that. Eat. Eat. Okay, I'm learning all sorts of ways to get healthy in Hyrule here. Let's see, we got some mushrooms. Again, another one of these bokoblin horns. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, more shrooms. Might as well take them while I got them. I'm starting to get the hang of this. This is way easier to get started with than Untitled Goose Game. I'll tell you that. What else is going on? Okay, we got some shiny stuff over here. Spicy pepper. This pepper is exploding with spice. Okay, interesting. Link.
Link,
The peppers are talking to me.
head for the point marked on the map in your Sheikah slate.
Okay. Apparently I'm insane. Is that where I'm going? Follow the Sheikah slate. Shrine of Resurrection. I guess that's me. Stamp. Guess that's where food is, and then I'm going there. I don't know, you hear a woman's voice speak to you. She instructs you. Let's see if we got any chat going on over here. Just want to make sure I'm not just talking to... Let's see. Oh, Budrod's in the house. Budrod 2, Rabbi Carrier, have you seen the Coen brothers film A Serious Man, and what did you think of it? Have I seen this movie? I've seen it at least twice. I'm not trying to brag, but a fun bit of trivia about me in this movie. My two sons, who are now grown men, were extras in. Not only have I seen it, I'm genetically in it. So my two sons were extras in that movie. It was filmed on location, I believe, in St. Louis Park. So the Coen, for a time, I lived in Minneapolis before I came to LA to go to rabbinical school and then stay here to be a rabbi. I lived in Minneapolis for a few years. My older sons went to day school there, and the Coen brothers, who grew up in St. Louis Park, which is a suburb, heavily Jewish suburb of Minneapolis. I think it's about like 25% Jewish or something, which makes it, the Jewish suburb. The Coen brothers grew up there. Also, the raisin ground of Senator Al Franken and journalist Thomas Friedman, the flat Earth guy, not a flat Earth, like the world is flat, something. So he's written a couple of books and a lot of New York Times articles. He's from there. So a lot of Jewish media creators came from this area, and the Coen brothers made A Serious Man. Kind of, the whole book is sort of a take on Job, if you will, this like sort of ever suffering soul. So it's sort of a parable akin to Job, but it takes place in the early 60s in St. Louis Park, where the Coen brothers grew up. So that's like their homage to their childhood. And when they came to make the film there, they went to the local day school, the Minneapolis Jewish Day School, and the Jewish Community Center, which were on the same campus, and they put up posters saying, we need some Jewish-looking kids. And so I guess they put the posters in the right place. And so a bunch of kids, like my kids and their friends, were extras in the scenes where it's like the Hebrew school. So they found there wasn't an actual Hebrew school. They found like an abandoned or no longer used elementary school. They turned it into the Hebrew school. And if you see all those kids sitting in the rows, some of those kids are mine. So I haven't been able to identify my children in the movie, but it's watching it very carefully. One of my sons is in like the deleted scenes, DVD extra scenes, and the other of my sons, you can sort of briefly see him running across the screen in a blur in the tornado scene at the end. So that's my connection to this movie. Is it a good movie? Let me get back to that in a second. My further connection is that apparently my rabbi's chair was in the movie. They like borrowed a chair from my rabbi. My rabbi wasn't in the movie, but his chair was. And my cantor. The cantor, so the cantor in the bar mitzvah scene, at the like near the end, the sort of famous bar mitzvah scene, like handing the kid the yad to read Torah with. He's got the old pillbox hat. That was the cantor that did my wedding. So that's Cantor Neil Newman, fantastic guy, wonderful cantor, and he got picked to be the cantor in that movie. So, so that's my connection to it. Now back to what do I think of the movie itself? It's like it's okay. Like I think it's a good movie. Richard Kind is great as like the slightly insane brother or brother-in-law. The three rabbis are interesting, kind of representing, I think, the three friends of Job who talked to him. There's a whirlwind at the end. There's a lot of tornadoes in Minneapolis. So if you're looking, there's a whirlwind in Job, and think about Minneapolis. A lot of people don't know if you're not from there. It's on sort of the north end of Tornado Alley, and I grew up in East Texas, and there was a lot of tornadoes there. Like every year, we would get several tornado warnings, and then later on in like my 30s, I settled in Minneapolis, and I didn't know there were tornadoes there. So every summer, we get the siren, and you go down to the basement for a while. So that whirlwind scene at the end was like legit Minneapolis weather. So I have Coen Brothers films that I adore, and I have Coen Brothers films like, oh, that was nice, that was entertaining. Like, I see what you did there. And for me, A Serious Man in the Coen Brothers pantheon or canon is kind of a second tier movie. Fargo is probably my favorite. What is it? What is a movie? A Quiet Man with Billy Bob. I think it's called A Quiet Man or A Man of No Consequence. I forget what it's called, but that I really enjoyed. I can't remember the name, but I really enjoyed it. Blood Simple. I like that. Of course, Raising Arizona was what a lot of people's sort of introduction to the Coen Brothers. So between Raising Arizona, The Big Lebowski, and Fargo, those are everybody's favorite. Those are my favorites. And then there's sort of a second tier of just kind of interesting noir films. Barton Fink is probably in the category, although I should probably rewatch Barton Fink. It's been 20 years since I've seen that movie. But Coen Brothers is in my second tier of favorite Coen Brothers films in terms of quality. It's the first in my heart because my kids are in it and like people I know are in it, which is like little sprinkle of the stardust. I thought I would get that moving to California, but I've actually have more connection to a movie in Minneapolis, oddly enough. But I think it can be a little bit of a head scratcher. It can be like it doesn't seem to be going anyplace. If you're curious about understanding the Coen Brothers, like go back and read the Book of Job, which I normally don't recommend because it's not a good book, but I mean it is part of the good book, but it's not like a pleasant afternoon reading. So read the Book of Job and then watch A Serious Man and then see some of the connections there. For me, it's hard for me to watch except like, oh, I know that place and that curve where I don't want to spoil it, so I won't say who. There is a character who dies in a car crash, and another character that's like stuck in line in traffic around this blind curve, wondering what's going on. I know that blind curve. Like I haven't seen an accident there, but I've been stuck in traffic there because of another accident. So I've got a very personal connection to that movie, so I love it for that. It's kind of like when people ask me what my favorite movie is. My favorite movie all time, write it down, Fandango, with Kevin Costner and Judd Nelson. So every time somebody asks me what my favorite movie is, I always say Fandango because at some point I decided that was my favorite movie. Now, 10, 20 years later, I look back and I watch it and I'm like, this is a terrible movie. Like, I love film. I love watching good movies. This is not a good one. It just objectively. However, it holds such a place in my heart of like the time and place of where I watched it. It's also very connected to Texas in the 70s, which is where I was born, and so I recognize a lot of the landmarks and features and speech patterns and thought patterns. So I won't say the best movie in my opinion is Fandango, but it is my absolute favorite movie. So if you want to know more about me, watch Fandango, and you might kind of get why I'm so goofy on Fun Fridays. So for right now, thanks for the great question, Bud Rod. And it's a very Jewish movie. So if you want to get a little bit of insight into Judaism and Jewish culture, especially of the early 60s, or maybe it was the late 60s, I forget. I think maybe it takes place in the late 60s, but part of their part of their message was that Minneapolis is in the late 60s was like every place else in the early 60s. So it took a little while for the 60s to get to Minneapolis. Judging by the music, I think it was late 60s, but it had a very early 60s feel to it. So thanks for the great question, Budrod. Let's move on with what's going on in Hyrule. So what's going on in Hyrule is we're following the Sheikah Slate to the Great Plateau. From out of nowhere, you hear a woman's voice speak to you. She instructs you to the marker displayed on the Sheikah Slate. The slate is both alien and somehow familiar to you. You find that you can access its map by pressing the button. So I'm wondering, I kind of want to like explore here and get some more peppers. I'm gonna get some, pick a peck of peppers here. Feel like those are going to come in handy later. Maybe there's a giant roast. The guy's made a brisket. Raw meat cooked over an open flame. Cooking it has increased its flavor and number of hearts it provides. Jackpot. So, I took that. Can I take that bone? Is that bone a weapon? Should probably stay out of the fire. Oh, look at that! I got a torch now. I'm gonna unequip that torch. And go back. Boko Spear is at 2 and 2. I don't know what that means. 2 and 3. Woodcutter's choice for felling trees. Equip. Oh, no, I like the shield. And equip that. Equip. Can I have the shield at the same time? Cancel. Okay. And maybe I'll eat a baked apple. Get that last quarter heart. I'm going to have a delicious baked apple. Wait, where's my baked apple? I'm going to have a mushroom. Yeah, I'm going to save that for later. Okay, let's get out of here, Scooby. I'm going to see what's going on in Hyrule. So go here, I'm going to select A. So apparently I'm not going to the temple right now. I feel bad on the Jewcurious Show telling, advising people not to go to the temple. Wait, I feel like I need to be going, oh. I'm just going to slide down a little bit. Oh, here we go. I'm disoriented and discombobulated. So I am going to the temple. Okay, here we go. Apparently somebody's playing the piano inside the temple. That's nice. Must be a liberal temple where they have instrumental music. What is this? It's like a giant. What the heck is that? Oh, okay. There's a dude. Oh. Take your ham bone there. Okay. I don't know if that's violent or not, if they just turn into smoke. Okay, pick up a bag of something. Oh! Oh, no, I'm supposed to go this way. I guess I'm not going to the temple. Whoop! Let's see, gonna see what else is going on in the multi-chat over here. Got a great question from Budrod a second ago. Talking about Jewish movies. Oh, there's a Jewish movie I need to watch this weekend. It's called Get. I need to watch that right away because a friend of mine is showing it. And they want me to comment on it. So let's see. You better watch that. Maybe I'll watch that today, in fact. Okay. Butterflies. This looks safe. hearts lost there, or maybe I did. Let's see, should I just like ignore those guys and keep going this way? We got meat though. Hey, butterfly. Little Boko spear. Almost there. Okay, I think I'm where you told me to go. Little dino that. What is this? I'm like right there, but that's like a chasm. There we go. Oh look, a little place for me to put charge my iPhone. Don't mind if I do. Okay, is that what I'm supposed to do? Okay, here we go. Little charger there. Whoop! Can I have my stick back now? Sheikah Tower, please watch for falling rocks. Another little eye drop thing. Oh, my thing is rumbling. Oh, that's saying it seems like it was a bad decision. It's going to call for some blue drink. Kind of settles at the bottom. All right. Big wombats are set. Huh. Well, that seems disruptive. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Jewcurious Show, where I answer whatever questions you have about Judaism while playing some video games here on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. Had some great questions earlier, how to respond to questions about being a convert. Got some great advice from Carla. Just say, love to tell you the story. Let's have some coffee sometime. Had some good questions about a great Jewish movie. Well, a good movie that's a Jewish movie, Serious Man, by the Coen brothers, which it turns out have actual carriers in it. So distilling local information. Don't mind if I do some distilling. This is a very like high-tech Middle Earth going on here. Some techno elves. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay. Looks like Hyrule just got a little bit bigger. Oh, it's a topo map. Nice. That's helpful. But how do I get off this tower? This is like, is this Minas Tirith? Where's Saruman lives? I've been listening to Lord of the Rings book on tape. Kay Dixie has a question. If a person who's born Jewish changes to another religion, are they still considered Jewish? So let's listen to what this lady says about Hyrule, and then I'll get back to that. That's a really good question. The beast regains its true power. This world will face its end. Okay. Hey, beast. Looks scary. It's got pointy teeth. Name that movie. Okay.
You must hurry, Link.
She sounds sad.
Before it's too late.
Oh no! So, now Link knows Link's mission. He's on a tall tower with no way down, apparently. Follow the Sheikah Slate. Completed that quest. Alright, what else is going on up here? So, real quick, before we adventure further into Hyrule, if a person is born Jewish, changes to another religion, are they still considered Jewish? In a sense, yes. So, you know, maybe they're just not being very good at it. This is something my rabbi shared with me. Like, if a person's born Jewish, they are always Jewish in terms of, are they kind of a part of our community? I guess the litmus test being, if they have children. So if for example, if it's a woman who's born Jewish and converts to another religion, and then has children, the children are halachically, that means according to Jewish law, Jewish, right? Even if she converts to another religion, she was born Jewish, so her any children she has are considered Jewish, like within the Jewish community. They might not be raised that way. If they decide to express their Judaism, they might want to take a class or something. But a person who is born Jewish is always Jewish, according to Jewish law. Now, in different communities, they may find different levels of acceptance, but that's just according to Jewish law. They are considered Jewish. You know, the example being, if they have children, those children are Jewish. You know, for conservative and Orthodox and sort of by traditional halakha, that's more incumbent upon the mother. Let's say if a guy, you know, if a Jewish guy marries a Jewish woman and then he converts to another religion, and he gets divorced, then he still needs a get, for example, for his wife to be able to marry other people again, if you're following kind of the traditional path there. So yes, they're considered a Jew, but they're considered an apostate Jew, meaning they're not practicing, but we still consider them part of the family, and you know, hope they'll come back someday or at least visit. So I hope that answers your question. And this also goes for, you didn't ask this question, but this also goes for people who convert to Judaism. Once you convert to Judaism, you are just as Jewish as if you were born Jewish. And if you convert to Judaism by the traditional way, and then like the next day you're like, never mind, I'm gonna go get baptized, and you follow something else, you are in that same category of an apostate Jew. Like as soon as you're converted, it's as if you were born Jewish, so the same rules apply to you. So K. Dixie, follow-up question. And if they had a Jewish mother, but their mother changed her religion, does it impact the kids? No. Like if she was born Jewish, then the kid, well, I'm sure it will impact the kids, but I don't think that's the question you're asking. Does it impact the kids' Jewish status? No. If she converts after they're born, before they're born, if the mother is born Jewish, any kids that she has are Jewish. If the mother converts to Judaism at any point after that and has kids, like she could be she could be 8.9 months pregnant, convert to Judaism, and then the kids that are born are Jewish, and then right after that she converts to something else, kids are still Jewish. Or if she converts to Judaism, converts to something else, has kids after she's something else, kids are still Jewish, according to Jewish law. Now, will they have the same acceptance in every community? I can't guarantee that, but I'm just sort of reporting to you how the halacha works. So thanks for asking the great question. KG Wilcox, from a Reform perspective, if you're Jewish, if you're brought up Jewish, whether or not your mother is Jewish, fathers count too. So I'll just clarify that a little bit in a fine point. From a Reform perspective, you're Jewish if you were brought up Jewish and you have at least one Jewish parent. Which also means that if you have one Jewish parent and you weren't brought up Jewish, you would need to go through, my understanding from my Reform colleagues is that if you had one Jewish parent but had no Jewish education whatsoever, were not raised with a knowledge of your Jewish identity, you would still be encouraged to go through a formal process of conversion in order to be a part of the synagogue or whatever community you're a part of. So that Jewish education and upbringing is of greater consideration in the Reform movement. So they're more strict on the learning and identity piece of the individual, whereas in classical Jewish law, it's more about birth than about upbringing or education. D. Willexon says, I feel this answer is determined by what you consider Judaism is. Is it a religion, an ethnicity, or both? My personal belief is both. So yeah, I think it's both, but it's intertwined and inseparable. Some people identify more with the ethnic piece of it, which is different from the genetic piece of it, which is different from the religion piece of it. Just taught a class recently on the history of contemporary denominations, and you see this change with the emancipation in Germany in like the 19th century, where people wanted to, when the, let's say, community of Germany opened up access to Jewish people, which was a great innovation at the time. Like basically the walls of the ghetto came down and people could get jobs and go to universities and own property and hold professions they couldn't hold before. And so people had a German ethnicity in the sense of ethnos, in the sense of they wanted to feel a part of the German people, but they also felt strongly about being Jewish. And so you see many writings of the rabbis in the 19th century saying, endorsing Judaism as a religion. Like I could be ethnically German, not ethnic in the sense of genetic, but ethnic in the sense of following the practices of the people around me, and still be an adherent of the Jewish religion. And so in early writings of the Reform movement, going back 100 years or so, or a couple hundred years at this point, you do see this gravitation toward religion as the main, as sort of the gravity well, if you will, like not the exclusive thing, but religion as being the main thing about being Jewish. And then when the Orthodox movement arose in response, didn't predate the Reform movement. It rose as kind of a counter-revolution to that. It made it much more about, practice was important, but it still centered identity around not ethnicity, but like genome, if you will. But still acknowledging that people could convert. So Budrad 2 says, yes, on the reform and schooling. From my experience, I put my kids through Jewish education, a composite conservative and reform community education center from our city, and it was an important factor. So it's interesting to see how these things kind of have developed. Whereas, and I'll confess, there's like I spent most of my Jewish time in conservative circles. There you will occasionally like hear bias and things about Reform Jews and Reform communities, and I'm sure that cuts both ways. But it's like, Reform are less religious than we are, and this is me quoting, not asserting. But then when you look at the sort of source documents of Reform Judaism, religion is actually incredibly important. In fact, perhaps more important than the genetic aspect, which sort of drives the traditional halacha of Judaism deriving from the mother. So I just want to put that out there. Great question. Love discussions of denominational differences. Okay, should I just like fall down there? What's going on here? Can I do anything more with this? Am I overthinking it? What happens if I jump off that? Maybe I'll jump off something a little easier. Whoop! Ugh. Did I lose any hearts from that? Let's see. Oh, there's a climbing thing. I could have climbed down. Isn't that nice? Now what? Okay. Oh, look, there's another climbing thing I could have climbed down. Whoop. Oh! Dead Link. I didn't mean to laugh at your plight, Link. I just am not good at this game yet. Continue, of course. We'll play for a few more minutes. This has been a great discussion today, guys, talking about Coen Brothers movie and Jewish identity and how permanent is that. Apparently, it's very permanent. Can't shake it. Different movements respond differently. Let's see. I'm in the Great Plateau Tower. Now I need to learn how to climb stuff. So, climb down. Let's try that. Let's try climbing down, Link. Oh, let go. Alright, that seems safe. Can I climb down here? Okay, climb down. Okay, nice. What's in there? Anything cool? Climb down. Whoop. Looking around. Okay. Whoop. This seems a little bit safer. Whoop. Whoop. Okay, now I know how to get out of this tower without breaking my Link. That's his name, right? Link. Really glad Budrad could join us today, and I saw Ruthie here as well, and KG Wilcox, and DWLX, and all old friends here. I saw some... Whoa! That was surprising. Oh, look, it's Santa. Hey, Santa. My, it would seem we have quite the enigma here. This tower and others just like it have erupted across the land, one after the other. It's almost as though a long-dormant power has awoken quite suddenly. You speak in riddles, old man. If you do not mind me asking, did anything odd occur while you were atop that tower? I heard a voice. Just gonna go with radical honesty here with this with Santa. He prefers that, so I can get some good Hyrule presents. Let's see. Well, not that I'm endorsing Christmas. Please don't at me. Well, now a voice you say. And did you happen to recognize this mysterious voice? No. Mind your business. I see. Well, that is unfortunate. Why was it your voice and now you're upset? I assume you caught sight of that atrocity enshrouding the castle. Where's it? Oh, there. I can't. Okay. Yeah. We'll go with yes. That is Calamity Ganon. That sounds like a villain from a western. I'm Calamity Ganon, and I'm gonna clean up this town or make it dirty. 100 years ago, that vile entity brought the kingdom of Hyrule to ruin. Ruin! It appears suddenly and destroyed everything in its path. So many innocent lives were lost in its wake. Apparently our hero was sleeping for 100 years. For a century, the very symbol of our kingdom, Hyrule Castle, has managed to contain that evil, but just barely. There it festers. Building its strength from the moment will unleash its blight upon the land once again. It would appear that moment is fast approaching. Okay. I want to tell you guys about something in just a second after Santa's done talking. Something cool that I did last night. I must ask you, courageous one, do you intend to make your way to the castle? I do. I had a feeling you would say that. Here, now I'm going to give you a wedgie and stop you. Here on this isolated plateau, we are surrounded on all sides by steep cliffs with no way down. This makes it tough getting groceries and gasoline, you can imagine. If you were to try to jump off, well, no death could be more certain or more foolish. Of course, if you had a paraglider like mine, that would be quite another story. Paraglider, you say? Oh, piqued your interest, have I? Yes, I didn't come soaring down here on my own feathery wings, you know. Worry not, I will happily agree to give you my paraglider, but not for nothing. Let's see now. How about I trade it for a bit of treasure that slumbers nearby? I smell an adventure. The isolated plateau. Okay. Open the adventure log. Your adventures will be detailed here. Old man, after your descent from the tower, the old man told you the king of Hyrule below Calamity Ganon has come to town. He's shooting up the sheriff, and his eyes are brown. If you heard a voice coming from Hyrule Castle, we can't reach it because you don't have a paraglider. The old man said that he will give you the paraglider in exchange for the treasure that lies within a hidden location somewhere. All right, let's see what's up. Come, let me show you something. Don't mind if we don't. Okay, so I'm going to follow the old man. All right, I'm with the old man. So while we're following the old man, let me tell you something cool that I did last night. I don't know if I mentioned this here before. Okay, are you going to show me something? Last night, there's a new thing that I'm volunteering for. I may have talked about it, may not. Okay, see that structure there? Maybe we'll keep you in suspense. See that structure there, the one with the shining, strange light? Let's see what's going on. Still have a couple people watching. You see that structure there with the one with the shining straight light? Okay, stipulate that I do. It began glowing at the exact moment those towers rose up from the ground. Okay, I think it would be such a place would have treasure, don't you? So this is purely speculation on his part. So if I go in the newly glowing cave, he'll give me a paraglider. Okay, worth a quest. So last night, this fun thing that I did, okay, there we go, there's an organization called CEMP, which I'm pretty sure stands for California Emergency Management Patrol. I don't know, where's my literature? Anyway, it's a group of volunteers that work with the Los Angeles Police Department, primarily in the Valley, in the San Fernando Valley. And it's a group of trained volunteers who do stuff to help out the LAPD. And specifically, most of what they do is what's called light urban search and rescue. And so I've had to undergo some learning in search and rescue, and also some FEMA learning on ICS, like the Incident Command System, and now they've accepted me into their training class. It's me and one other guy, and we are training to join this group of volunteers. And been to a couple of their meetings. These guys are like decked out in like search and rescue uniforms that say search and rescue on the back and have reflective tape. And what happened? Most of what they do is they go out and if the police are looking for somebody who is lost and in danger, meaning they don't go out looking for people who are runaway or people who are fugitives or hiding. They don't go looking for this. The volunteer group doesn't go looking for people who don't want to be found. But let's say if it's a child that's lost someplace in the San Fernando Valley, or a person with developmental disabilities, or a senior with dementia or memory problems that wanders off and gets lost. So this group of volunteers goes and looks for those people. Basically, like, we'll get a text in the middle of the night. I haven't got any of those texts yet. They're still putting me in the system. But we get a text in the middle of the night, hop in the car, drive to the location, and we look for this person. That's most of what they handle. They also do kind of scheduled help out for events, like if you've ever run a marathon or a 5K or something, and there are medical tents, if you're in the Los Angeles area, especially on trail runs, the CEMP might be manning those medical tents. So we do light search and rescue in an urban setting, which is different from like mountain search and rescue. That's a different group, that's different training. But urban search and rescue, some medical relief and EMT work, evidence searches, like if the police need a wide area search for evidence, do that as well. So anyway, I read about it in this book, in Neil Strauss's book Emergency, which I highly recommend, especially if you're freaked out remotely about natural disasters, global warming, some sort of like breakdown of society. Neil Strauss writes about sort of his journey dealing with this and different people that he encountered, different training that he got to make him feel less concerned about this. And this is an extension of, I took the CERT class, which is Community Emergency Response Team, that's done by the fire department. Apparently very different, the LA Fire Department and LAPD. They, there's a little internecine rivalry there. But so I took this disaster preparedness class for with the LA Fire Department, and now for me, sort of the next step is I'm doing this volunteering with the LAPD, where we're learning additional skills. Some more medical training, patient packaging. Like, we don't actually have an ambulance that we take people who need it to the hospital, but if we are searching for somebody and we find them and they're injured, we could do some basic first aid and get them ready for transport for the ambulance that we call. So anyway, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's been kind of a long process. I got fingerprinted. They're now doing like an FBI and DOJ, like Federal Bureau of Investigations, Department of Justice. They're doing that whole like deep dive background check on me. I almost want to apologize because it's going to be so boring. but anyway, I think that's what they're looking for, is somebody with a boring arrest record. I've not been arrested that I can talk about. But so anyway, they did this whole background check and interviews, and now I'm in like the training class. The training class is 6 months, one training a month for 6 months, and in that time I will be going out on call outs. Once I'm in the system, they'll call me out to these things. It's cool because like a lot of times I want to volunteer in the community, but I have a job it's very demanding on hours. Like times when other people are volunteering, well, in a synagogue setting, or I'm a rabbi, I work in a synagogue in Pasadena, where I work in the office during the day, but in the evening, like, I work with the lay leaders of the synagogue too, and volunteers there, and they're volunteering once work gets out. So I have a lot of I work during the day, I have a lot of meetings at night, and I'm working with volunteers. So at normal volunteer times, I'm at my job. And so I wanted to. The nice thing about this is it's abnormal volunteer time, where you might get a call at 10 p.m. or midnight or 2 in the morning, and you'd be like, I'm awake. I'll be there in half an hour, and put your boots on, grab your kit, and go. So I'm a bit of an insomniac, so it suits me very well. So this is anyway. I wanted to share that with you because I'm really excited about it. I've been going to these meetings for a little while, going through their process, been accepted into the training class. Last night they were showing us some basic knots that are apparently useful in patient packaging and things and transporting patients if they're like stuck in a ravine or something. Learning about the proper ways to communicate on the radio. I learned that the phonetic alphabet used for radio signals for the LAPD is distinct from the military phonetic alphabet that's used on the radio. And they're like, okay, if you're talking to the LAPD, don't be using the military one. It's not Alpha, it's Adam. If you've ever heard of that show 4 Adam 12, it's like, it's from Adam is from the phonetic alphabet. That's just me rambling. But I learned so much last night. A couple weeks ago I was there and they were talking about this particular call out that they had, which was related to a case that the LAPD was like, OPSEC, I can't talk about it, but anyway, I got to hear the backstory of a case that detectives were working on. It was fascinating. So not to brag, but just to say like that stuff is like, I used to watch TV for this stuff. And now instead of watching it happen on TV, like a fictionalized version of it, I'm finding ways to participate in it in my own small way. And aside from that, there's another cool thing that I'm doing right now. Let's see. Somebody's talking about fingerprints. KG Wilcox says, "Now 64 Rabbi, that's so cool that you're participating in this training." I think so too. I'm just geeking out about it. So thank you for your support. KG Wilcox says, "I got FBI fingerprinted and background checked to be a Girl Scout cookie mom. It felt excessive." Well, you can't be too careful. I don't think my wife's been fingerprinted to be a Girl Scout cookie mom. It's Girl Scout cookie season, y'all. So we're just we got my daughter, my wife got the training the other day, and Girl Scout cookies are coming out soon. It's a big deal. But yeah, I mean, I've been fingerprinted just for working in a synagogue where there was a preschool, and because I was working in a place where there was a preschool, we had to do the whole live scan thing. So, all right, K Dixie gave me some cheers, 100 cheers, and KG Wilcox 100 cheers. That's really nice, guys. Thank you. That if you're curious, if you want to support what we do, if I do something cool or just because you feel like it, there's a little thing on Twitch where you can click a button and give cheer, and it's like a little microcurrency. It's like a little donation that helps me keep this site going, helps me know that we're doing something good, and that helps me pay for bandwidth and streaming equipment and things like that. So thank you so much for doing that. Let's see. That feels intense, but at the same time, it's like, if you're working with kids, it's good to have background checks, I'll say. And I know it's, yes, I too grew up in a cul-de-sac in a rural area where the rule was please be home by dark. If it's nice if you're going to be gone all day. It's nice if you can tell your parents where you're going, and then we just get on our bikes and ride all over town. And like I had a rule like don't cross Culver. Culver was this very busy street that sort of divided my part of town from the other part of town. And it wasn't that that was a bad part of town. In fact, all the good stuff was on the other side of Culver, like the Brahms for ice cream and going to the grocery store to buy candy. I had to go to the Piggly Wiggly because that was on my side of Culver instead of the Brookshires or the Winn-Dixie, which was on the other side. Okay, so enough talking. I'm about to get hit by ring rates here. That's what I get. My bowfire spear is badly damaged. What do I have? Let me go for the club here. I'm going to join the Boko Club. And so I've just been rambling, and now I got attacked for it. But in any case, yeah, I grew up in a pretty safe place where there weren't a lot of rules. I walked to school, I think in the 4th grade, over a mile through the woods for part of it. So it feels like, I don't know if it is a more dangerous world. It feels like a more dangerous world, and especially in an urban environment where you get high concentration of people. Families don't all know each other. I can see where fingerprinting is a good idea sometimes. Girl Scout cookie mom. I'm not gonna. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I don't judge. If that's what your Girl Scout troop wants to do, that's cool. Nawa64 says, being a preschool teacher and international adoptive mom, okay, I've been fingerprinted so much I could never be anonymous again. So that's the trade-off, privacy versus security. So let's work on security. I got my Boko Club, made to clobber small prey. It's essentially a stick, so its durability is low. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with this club, and beat up some guys and maybe take better weapons. He says while he's working on like search and rescue and helping people. Oh, you know, I'm going to learn how to use my shield. Oh, skeleton. Okay, apparently I have to beat up the whole skeleton. Bokoblin arm. Keeps moving after it's severed from... It's kind of gross to strap it to your back, but it'll do in a pinch. It's so it's old and fragile, quick to break. Okay. I'm going to throw it. Oh, nice. I can throw it. Hey, give me my stick back. Okay, Boko Club. Any better weapons here? That looks like a better spear. Traveler's Spear. Okay, I'm going to take that. And that looks like a nicer Boko, slightly nicer Boko Club. Take that. Bokoblin Fang. Tooth obtained from Bokoblin. Warmed down, very sharp, still pretty hard. Cook it to make an elixir. Will do. Take that Boko Club. Fang. Fang. Use horn. Fang. Okay. What? Did I do that? Okay. So anyway, I want to share with you guys it's something cool that I did. Got some great cheers. So yes, I've been fingerprinted. I'm currently being background checked. I thought that was done, but apparently it's not done with yet. Oh man, oh shrine. That's what I said when I got here. Okay, that didn't work. What's in the box? Alright, so just go in there. Devil may care. If you're just joining us, this is the Jewcurious Show where we talk about Jewish stuff. You can ask me whatever questions you have. Share an experience with us. And if you've been to a synagogue recently that was unique, or if it's your first time at the synagogue, that's cool too. If you have questions about that, if you have questions about anything related to Judaism, feel free to throw it into the chat. And some nice people here might answer your question before I do, but I'll certainly try to answer your question. Put a question mark on there. It's easier to see. Travel gate registered to map. Okay, so I got a travel gate. Access granted. And because it's Friday, we like to have a little fun and play some video games while we do it. So let's see what is up in this shrine. I think we're going to stop pretty soon, just because there's some other rabbi stuff I got to do today. Not trying to brag, just it's the life. Beats working for a living. So let's see what's up with this shrine, and then I think we're going to call it a day. Some items, like bows, allow you to target things by tilting. And remember to be aware of your surroundings when doing this. Alright, so beam me down into the shrine. To you who sets foot in this shrine, I am Omano. In the name... Oh, I missed it. The Magnesis Trial. Okay. Shake a slate authenticated, distilling rune. I do see why my daughter liked this game so much. It seems pretty fun so far. I haven't done any advanced cooking yet, though. Magnesis. Manipulate metallic objects using magnetism. Grab onto metallic objects using magnetic energy that pours force in the Magnesis rune. Object in the magnetic snare can be lifted and moved freely. This feels a little bit like that game I can never remember the name of. So I'll stop talking about it. Use rune. Wait a minute. Oh, A to activate. Okay, use rune. Oh, pull. And cancel. Okay, look. Oh, look what I did. I did a thing. Wait. Use rune. Activate. Can I climb down? Don't mind if I do. Alright, I think if this is, before this gets any more exciting, I'm going to sign off for the day. Got a really cool thing happening in Pasadena. We have a social justice Shabbat. We're having a Shabbat that coincides with Martin Luther King weekend, and so we're having a church come tonight with us. So if you're curious about that, check it out at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center tonight at 7:30. It's going to be fantastic. Got great Shabbat rolling through. There's a new video. I made a YouTube video, not for my own channel, but for Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. So I'll just give us a little plug here. Check out, if you want to see my new YouTube video, today it's going to be posted. It's about this week's Parshat Hashmot. And go to YouTube, search for Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, and subscribe to that channel, and you'll see my new YouTube video about Parshat Shemot, which I've uploaded. I've got to go put it out right now, so I don't get in trouble with my boss. So in any case, really delighted to learn with everybody today. Some great questions in the chat. Playing a fun new game here with Link in Hyrule, with Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I'll be probably playing this again before we talk, so we'll be a little bit further down the road next time you see this. But it's always my joy to learn with you. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. Budrod, K Dixie, KG Wilcox, Nawa64, D Willexen, Ruthie. So many cool friends hang out with us. I really appreciate you being here. And until next time, heroes, Shabbat Shalom and peace.